Parker would agree that KYC, like that a lot of these KYC laws are overbearing. Would you agree with that, Parker?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say, maybe say it another way. I would say that AML KYC rules create risk for honest citizens probably disproportionately than they do solve problems of preventing drugs from being moved to the United States and money to be laundered, or trafficking of minors, or human trafficking of any kind. And I think part of the evidence of that is looking at kind of each year the fines that are paid by the banks for helping to, or not having a robust enough, or quote robust enough AML process. That money laundering happens. It's just a fact. Despite all of these rules, it's almost a function of if you think about fraud protection in your debit card, it's a baked in cost essentially to the banking business. And so I think that the kind of, and I don't think it as simplistically as this, but I do think of it as that if we have bad laws, we should change the laws. And then when we think about our services and kind of at what level of services, depending on the nature of them, what KYC information we require to be compliant with laws, kind of whether or not the value that we're actually delivering is balancing the trade-offs, and that not only kind of clients be aware, but that if the risk that we potentially create by potentially being a source of failure in terms of private information, that the value that's extracted of in kind of one case of securing Bitcoin must raise to fully trade off or to outweigh those risks. But I think all of that can be true while agreeing that the rules as they exist in place probably not probably do more harm than good, and they don't actually prevent the problems that they're trying to prevent. And that if you create rules to restrict, like because one way to think about it would be money laundering is illegal. So if a criminal that's laundering money is already engaging in some illegal activity, who is going to do something more likely to circumvent those rules or to adapt to them? It is the criminals. Dealing drugs is illegal now. That's probably a different debate of whether or not it should be, but there's nothing about the financial apparatus. It's like, hey, if you're using your phone, you're similarly using technology and a third-party resource to facilitate a crime. And so I think that there's nothing about the financial apparatus that is unique to facilitation of quote crime, and that ultimately they're misguided rules. They should be changed. And that kind of in terms of my view, it is like I view keys being as most important in Bitcoin, and that if the network is controlled in the most decentralized way as possible, that if we're living in a world in the future with 300, or just say the United States with 300 million Bitcoiners, those people will think a lot differently than the construction of 300 million Americans think today about privacy, but then also more specifically financial privacy.